All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're hitting a hot topic, and I don't mean the hot topic at the mall that has all the edgelord clothing and stuff in it. I mean a hot topic.
I was about to say, am I going to have to get my trip pants on and really spike up my hair? And
yeah, man.
Like, are we going on a road trip here?
I gotta grab my Jinko jeans and my black nail polish, and we'll get it going.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready.
All right, so I mean hot topic as a spicy topic, especially when it comes to the Pokemon world. And we're going to be talking about local card stores and local game stores. And we're going to be talking about whether or not what they've been doing over the last year and a half in terms of selling at market price, we'll put in quotes, is appropriate for a store like that. Obviously, I don't know all the ins and outs of running a store. Neither does Cantorus, especially a card shop. So this is all just us coming from a consumer perspective and what I've heard from some YouTube people who do own stores. One person that I think you guys should definitely check out is Mason at Cardinal Gaming. He has a fantastic YouTube channel, and he seems like a really nice guy. He sells all sorts of card stuff, and he gets a lot of flack a lot of the time for the prices on his shelves. But he has a lot of videos explaining kind of why they sell at market, and whether or not you agree with that, that's what we're talking about today. We're throwing it up to debate. So I might play a little devil's advocate here and there with Chris, but overall we'll just be talking about how we feel when we walk into an LGS or an LCS and see cards that we feel like are at exorbitant prices.
I would also say, too, if you are a local game store owner and you see this video and you have your own opinions you'd like to and thoughts you'd like to chime in on here, please do. Java said, we don't know all the ins and outs that go into running a business like that. So please give your insights on that and, open our minds, too, to what we may not know.
Recently, I'm just going to say a little story to start this off. When Shining Fates came out, I was really excited. I was at Target. First one in line at Target. I went at like 5:30 in the morning. I waited for like an hour and a half. It was freezing cold, like freezing rain out. And the stock guy didn't even show up to stock the product. Didn't even show up all day. Apparently, it only comes on Wednesdays, even when there's a new drop for sets, which I didn't know at the time. But I called up my local game store that day, and I said, hey, do you guys have Shining Fates? Did you guys get any of that in? Yeah, man, come on by. We've got Shining Fates. I go to my local game store and go in and see they've got a whole wall full of Shining Fates stuff. And I was like, yeah, dude. And there's a reason why that wall was still full. Because they had Shining Fates ETBs at $120 a piece. MSRP is $50 for those to find at, Target or whatever. So they were $70 over. That's over 100% markup. That's like 40% markup or something crazy like that. And I can say that I walked right out the door and I haven't been back since. And I may have written a negative review on Google reviews. In which they said that they sell at market price, and if I had said something, they would have dropped the price or whatever. And I'm sorry, but I shouldn't have to ask you to drop the price on something. That was my experience going into an LGS or an LCS and expecting to see close to retail. I think at the time I didn't really understand, and I expected to see retail. And when I didn't see retail, I was like, scalpers. And then I walked out. I didn't say that, but that's in my mind. I was like, yeah, I'm not paying for this shit. It's difficult as a consumer to see that and think that there is some sort of a justifiable reason to that other than you want to make more money. Yeah. Like you're just riding the scalping wave of the internet. You're saying that you're selling at market and you're just doing it to make more money.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for me to think of a positive reason to do that apart from money. Right.
From face value as a customer, as a consumer, right? You're right. It is hard to see, like, why would they be selling this thing for almost triple the cost? And you and I have talked before that, like, there are loads of things that go into running a store like that. There's loads of overhead, paying employees, paying for rent, of their space and their buildings. All of this, kind of stuff that we, think about when we own a home or when, in our own lives that we rent and that kind of thing.
Right.
Goes the same to owning a business. Does that justify selling something at triple the cost? Because you got to also think too, like how much of that product are you going to be moving at that price point? To be able to
Right.
put into those overhead kind of things, right?
Well, and so
Um,
one of the things that I've heard people say about this is they want to have product on the shelf
yeah.
because when people walk in, they want to have them walk in and see, oh, they actually have Pokemon stuff in stock, right?
Mhm.
Which is good, I'm sure, for people to walk in and say, oh, they have Pokemon, they have it in stock, got to pay a little more, but they've got it if I want to, right?
Yeah.
And that's good, but at the same time, I'm sure there's lots of customers like me who are looking for this stuff. They walk in, they see the price, and they never go back.
Yeah.
So how many people are you keeping because of your price, or how many people are you losing because of your prices? Potential customers that will buy over and over and over again had the prices been a bit more fair.
And stores like that also almost kind of live or die off of like word of mouth. Like if you go in there and see, that they're selling that stuff, like, okay, cool, they have, Shining Fates. Oh, but it's triple the price. You're going to then come to me and tell me about that and let me know of that too.
Yeah.
Right. And like at that point, I then have to make a decision on whether or not I want to go and get that. Right. Or if I too don't want to spend my money on that. So a lot of that stuff spreads. Right. People
Yeah.
talk, especially in friend groups and stuff like that.
Well, what I want to say too is this might not apply to all LGSs and LCSs. Like there
No.
might be people who have prices that are reasonable for.
Right.
This is just my experience with my local one. And my local one
Right.
does a bunch of shady shit that we can get into eventually.
Like mine, for example, also sells at like, what they believe to be like market price. But it's also like not that bad. I think they may do it based off of like percentage of like what that they believe that the market price is. So
Yeah.
like take I was in there just a few weeks ago and I got the Flareon and Vaporeon like sort of tins, the like evolving skies kind of like tins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
MSRP for that's like $20. I got them each for 25.
That's
Right.
not bad at all.
That's not bad. Like I get that, right? Like we said before, the overhead that goes like $5 extra, no problem.
Yeah.
They had what was it? A Chilling Rain booster box there. MSRP for like booster boxes is like what, 140?
144 or something like that. Yeah.
Right. You can see on like TCG Player and stuff like that, or like eBay, people are selling them for like 170, 180. This guy was selling them for 155. A little bit more than the MSRP, but not egregious.
What I find interesting too is they use kind of the sold comps and stuff on eBay to determine like their market price, right? Or Troll and Toad or whatever. What's interesting though is like if a scalper goes into Target and buys a $50 ETB and then is able to sell it on eBay for 100, well, they're only going to get 85 of that 100 because there's a 14% fee that they're taking for selling it online, right?
And then
and
like, whatever
LGS
shipping is going to be too, right?
Right.
all those hidden things that people don't think about.
You got to factor all those
to-
fees and everything into it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
LGS doesn't have those fees, although they do have overhead and those other things that we've already talked about that they have to pay for. But they don't have those selling fees. And on top of that, they're getting the products for less than the scalper does buying it retail at the store because they have a distributor and they're getting distributor prices. Now, I know distributor prices have been raised, I think, over this year, but they're still better than buying them retail at a store. So kind of like an LGS, if they're able to cover all their bills and stuff without Pokemon, and then this is how Pokemon is reacting, then they're actually making out better than anyone else who's selling the product. If they're able to sell it at the market rate or the higher price.
Well, and what gets me too is that like if they're holding on to a certain product for a long time, eventually they're going to throw that stuff into like whatever their like clearance section is.
Well, the scary thing about Pokemon is if it doesn't sell, they could just throw it in a closet and then a year later open that closet and be like, well, these are all double the price they were last year. Let's sell them all now.
I wonder if part of it too is to recoup, because there are some stores that sell, like singles in their like glass cabinets or whatever. And like, yeah, you can buy a single of this full art, but like they have to go and open that booster box and try to find those hit cards, right, to then be able to sell in their cases and stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's maybe a cost to that they're trying to recoup by selling a booster box for just a little bit more than, I don't know.
I appreciate what your LCS is doing, for instance, is they seem like they're selling above retail, but they're selling an appropriate, what feels like an appropriate percentage above retail. They're not looking at market price and saying, okay, we're doing what it's selling for on eBay right now, or we're doing more than what it's selling for on eBay right now, which is what my LCS did when Shining Fates came out. Shining Fates, at the time that I went in there, it was selling for $80 a box on eBay, and they were selling it for $120 on their shelf.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Again, we also got to look at this from like the gaming side, right? If I'm an active, player of the TCG and I'm seeing all these spiked prices because of collectors and people trying to get things graded and stuff like that, I'd be pretty pissed off.
Well, yeah, I mean, right? They're the people who are probably getting hit the worst out of any of the Pokemon like fandom, is the people who actually play the game, because they can't play the game, but on top of that, they can't get product to make decks to then play the game.
I think it's still a little bit harder for some people to get those singles and stuff for their decks because of like how expensive some of that stuff is, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly a deck that maybe took like $30-$40 to construct is now costing like 60, 70, 80 bucks sometimes, just to go and buy the singles. But if you're like trying to just open product to then get those cards that way, right? You're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, it's rough out there, man, if you're actively playing the game.
Yeah. I think too, and this is just my own personal LCS. Like, I have heard stories of, because I go to, like, when a new set comes out, I stand outside GameStop and I get to know some of the people who are into it as well, standing outside GameStop and lining up and everything. And we always talk about like, oh, our Walmart never has product. I think they've just stopped carrying cards, stuff like that. And then we talk about the LCS, and a lot of people, my own personal LCS, this isn't, I'm not saying that all LCS does this, but there have been people that have told me that you will see those the people who own and the kids that work at the LCS at Walmart in the morning, at Targets, at GameStop, buying the product from the big box to then bring to the LCS and mark up at 2 times retail to sell in the store. Which, that's even worse. That's even worse on top of just getting the product and selling it for 2 times. You're taking the product from people and then it's like you're like a scalper, but that's even worse than being a scalper, is you're an LCS owner and you're a scalper. It's crazy,
is pretty wild. Yeah, that is super wild. I think it really sucks too, because like I don't want to go to GameStop. GameStop has plenty of money as it is. They're a big box retailer.
Well, and the argument to shop at your LGS, right, is that they're local, they're a small business. Locally owned. If they're really nice people, you want to support them. And I would have no problem paying, $60, maybe $70 if it was an ETB that I really wanted. That's normally $50. I would have no problem doing that. But there comes a point in which that markup is too high. Then it's no longer I'm supporting the small business. It's I'm supporting an act of business that I really disagree with. Your LCS, for instance, if I really wanted a Chilling Reign booster box, I'd be totally fine buying it for $155.
Especially if those places like that too. The other point of like a local card store, local game store, is that they also hold regular activities for those kind of like games.
Right, and you're supporting that with your dollar as well.
You're supporting that, right? There's like we said before, there's loads of hidden things you don't even like think about.
I've seen one argument too where if an LCS sells at retail, then they're going to get the same scalpers than a big box would. So then they're just selling their products to scalpers as well. Which
I've heard of that too. Man, how do you like? It's such a balancing act, right? You know, like maybe you are, and I have to assume that most card stores are genuine, you know, people that are trying to look at it from that perspective.
it would be really tough. I could imagine as a store owner to try and keep up with prices each week that find that balance of, okay, so this is just a little too much for a scalper to make any money on, but it's not too much that I look like, you know, an asshole for marking it up this much. Like, that would be such a hard thing for them to constantly be updating their prices and stuff to keep that balance and not just pick like the highest, you know, market price or whatever.
Well, then let's talk about like what solutions then could we maybe figure out to maybe bring those prices back to market, right?
I think you'd always think about limits. You know,
Yeah.
that's how the big box retailers do it. My Target still has a limit. You can't buy more than 2 Pokemon products at a time.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't account for people who are willing to do multiple transactions over and over again.
Yeah.
Because there are those people. But I think overall, that does a pretty good job. You know, I've been able to find cards at my Target a lot. And I think that's because of the limits that are in place. And I don't think it would be that hard for, and I could be wrong. Again, I don't know. I don't know what goes into all this, how hard it would be to keep track of these things. But I don't think it would be hard for an LCS if they have a limit of 2 Pokemon items a day, just being like, show me your ID, write down the name, and then make sure they don't come back and try and buy more stuff for that day, and then start a new list the next day. You know, it seems like limits might be able to at least help keep those, you know, prices down. But again, that's assuming, that's making an assumption that the LCS owner wants his prices to be what we would consider fair. I don't think that all LGS owners are bad, all LCS owners are scalpers. I don't think any of that stuff. I just think that there might be a better way for people who actually care, you know, to get product in the hands of people who care about the hobby and want to play or want to collect instead of scalp. There might be better ways than to just mark it up at market price.
Right. Which is, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you are a store owner, please offer your solutions. You know, what have you done to curb, you know, customer expectations, and how have you limited product, you know, for people to be able to get their hands on it and not sell it at ridiculous prices.
That's the thing, is like, you can either have a lot of stock on your shelf and high prices, or you can go to Target and there's no stock on the shelf at the retail price. So it's like, you're, apart from online retailers that are mostly selling at market price, you're kind of the walk-in line of defense to this. Like, you're the people who can have the product and put fair prices on it and help these people. You can
help us help you, kind of thing.
You can charge what you want. You set the price, and you can put whatever limits in that you want to. And so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, let us know in the comments if you're an LCS owner and we've got this completely wrong. We're trivializing all the issues. Let us know. So yeah, guys, that's what we think about the whole LGS situation. I know a lot of people have been frustrated with their local game stores and stuff, seeing the prices and just kind of equate them to scalpers, and they don't want to really think any more in depth or any further on it. And so that's what we kind of try to do here, is kind of look at it from both sides and how we approach it as consumers, how we see those things, how either put off or how we respect certain situations by certain LGSs that we've experienced. And yeah, let us know in the comments below how your LGS is handling this, if you go into the store and are flabbergasted by the prices, or if you're willing to support them by paying up a little bit more to keep them in business over this tough time that's been, you know, COVID and everything. So yeah, let us know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and definitely go over to Instagram and check out Cantorus's page over there. Hit the follow button. Check out all of his awesome custom paint jobs on Warhammer figures. It's super awesome. He's putting together some really cool looking stuff. So definitely go over and do that.